Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show right here on WVCR 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host this week, Brandon Murphy. I'm class of 2017, and I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Engagement here at Siena. And this week I am joined by a best friend, a dear friend of mine I've known close to 10 years now, the college chaplain here at Siena, Father Larry Anderson, O.F.M. A reminder to everyone listening today here on WVCR 88.3 The Saint, that you can subscribe to the Saints and Alumni Show wherever you get your podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, anywhere that you listen. And then you can subscribe to the Siena Alumni YouTube channel and take a look at the entire collection of the Saints and Alumni Show. It's been about a year and a half that we've done this show, and we've had a lot of great guests on and a lot of great Siena stories that we get to share. And today is a really great and unique Siena story that we have Father Larry on to talk with us about, and we thank you for your time, and welcome to the show. I think it's your first time being on it.
It is. Good morning, Brandon.
And thank you for having us. It's the first month or so at Siena. It's fall. The leaves are changing colors. The temperature's dropping. I still have my AC in my window. Maybe some freshmen still have their windows open and the fans going. But what's it been like this first month back on campus and the energy that you're seeing?
Yeah, first of all, this is my favorite time of year. I love this. I love the fall up here, and good energy. I'm really impressed with the new class. It's a large class, but they're a lot of fun. I'm in Ryan Hall, so I get to see them. So they keep me young, but a college campus needs college students. The summers are nice, but I really prefer when the students are here. So we've gotten off to a great start so far.
And I know it's coming up on a few big events at Siena. We have homecoming coming up in a few months. It's the second annual homecoming,
Yep.
And that is a community-based event now. Students, prospective students, and alumni. And I know you'll play a major role in that. And we're going to get to the roles that you have on campus in just a little bit. But we're just also a few days away from the Transitifs of St. Francis of Assisi, and then the Feast of St. Francis. And we're so grateful to have you on at this time here in early fall to talk about the connection of the college and St. Francis and a little bit of how that Franciscan mission fits in with Peyton's path that we're going to talk about in the second segment today. And you became a Franciscan friar a handful of years ago. And for those that may not know Father Larry as well as I do, and lucky enough to know him as well as I do, can you go through a little bit of a timeline of when you began formation, maybe why you decided to take that step in your life, and then a little bit of how you ended up here at Siena College?
Yeah, it was definitely not a straight line. I never knew about the Franciscans until later in life. I after high school, entered a seminary. I grew up in Western New York, and I only knew the diocesan priests. I went to a Catholic high school, so I would join the Diocese of Buffalo. And I went to a seminary up in northern New York and graduated from there, and then went to grad school outside of Buffalo. And it was at grad school that I met the friars. They ran the school, and they planted some seeds. I decided I was too young to make that decision at that point. I was 22, 23. So I left after my first year and moved to Alaska and actually worked on radio. I was a DJ at a radio station, had a rock show and a request show up in Nome, Alaska. Did that for 3 years. Came back, finished my master's, and then taught in Rochester for a few years, but kept on thinking about the Franciscans. I would make a phone call to the vocation office, and when someone would, when someone would answer, I would hang up. I got nervous.
Kind of like me with Father Mark a little bit.
So one year I stayed on and talked with him. It was 2001. I remember it was September. It was right before 9/11, the week before. And we had a very good conversation and decided to go to a orientation weekend. It took a couple of years after that, but finally in 2003, July 7th, flew down to New York City, joined the Friars, and I haven't looked back. So I've been in now, what is that? That's 19 years now. Next year will be 20 years. And been all over the Northeast, was in Jersey before I came here. So now I'm in my 9th year at Siena.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you, during the formation process, you did intern at Siena for a few years, and when was that?
That was back 2007, 2008. So I taught in the what they call first-year seminars, foundations then, and then I was in the Franciscan Center for Service and Advocacy. I actually did some prison ministry And what else did I do? Oh, I helped out with the retreats in the chaplain's office, and taught in the social work department. So I did a lot of different things.
And when you came here 9 years ago, was it something that you as a friar can say, you can go to the Holy Name Province and say, hey, I would love to be at a college? What is that process like to get a college chaplain at a Catholic college?
Yeah, there was Father Greg was here at the time, and he was moving to Western New York to be closer to his family. So I knew there was a position opening up. And I was at a parish that I loved, actually, in New Jersey. I was there 5 years, but I was looking for maybe a change. I love this area. I love the outdoors. I love kayaking and hiking, and I just thought it would be a nice possibility. So I just kind of checked. It was Father Kevin Mullen was the president at the time, and met with him and met with some other people. And then what happens with the friars, we have a chapter where all the friars get together. There's election for leadership. And then they get together, the leaders get together, and they make the new assignments. So I got a phone call, and they asked if I would be interested to come up to Siena. And I said, sure.
And it was great. I remember sitting down with you 9 years ago now in Longstream Dining Hall and having a cup of coffee. And, that kind of became a tradition, sitting down with students and just casually getting to know them and making them feel welcomed at Siena and building that relationship. And you have the role of being a college chaplain, but you also have this day-to-day interaction with the students that kind of happens organically. What are some of the favorite parts about being here at Siena and having that connection with the students?
Yeah, no 2 days are the same. I love my job. Everyone asks, well, do you teach? And I say, I teach, but I don't correct papers. So hopefully, yeah, I mean, I consider my job, I'm the pastor of the campus, so I'm in charge of the spiritual programming. So I don't sit in my office all day. I don't sit in the chapel all day. Francis would say the world is my cloister. So he went out into the world. And so what I try to do is go out into the campus. I try to go to the dining hall. I try to go to the sporting events. So I hang out in the quad, go where the students are, have them get to know me. And that it takes a little bit of time to build those relationships. But that's probably my favorite part of it is building the relationships. And now that I've been here 9 years, I've started to do quite a few weddings now. That I had 18 weddings this year. But people that I met here when they were 18, 19, and now they're in their later 20s. So that's kind of fun to watch.
And one of the relationships that you built here at Siena was with Peyton Morris, who was a class of 2021 and a beloved member of the Siena community, but also very active in his home community as well. Can you share with the audience today how the relationship with Peyton began with you?
Yeah, I first met Peyton when he was in high school. He was from northern New York, up in Clayton area, and their church has this group called the Franciscan Mystery Players, and what they do is they reenact the Passion Play, and they came down and performed here at our chapel, and Peyton was playing the role of Jesus. And so I got to talk with him, and he was doing his college search, and he said that Siena was one of the schools that he was applying to. So I said, that's great. Hope things work out for you. I would love to see you here. And he did. He decided to come, and he was in my dorm in Ryan. He was in one of the quads. And then he started working with me at the grotto. He would help me with the candles every day, or every other day. We had to change the candles, and we did a lot of talking. He really was thinking of priesthood at one time. He wanted to be of service. He was that type of person that just wanted to give of himself. But then he also wanted to be a firefighter. He always wanted to do that. So that was his dream. So that's how we really got to know each other, was the time spent at the grotto. Really faith-filled guy. Probably a lot more mature. He was older than his 18 years. He was much more. I was always impressed with him.
Did he live in Ryan Hall?
Mm-hmm.
So did you get to interact with him, pretty much almost every single day? Did he attend some of the Plasman masses and the daily interaction with him?
I'm trying to think. He went more to the masses in the chapel. I believe he went to the 11 a.m. But yeah, so I got to know him. He would come to daily mass. What I remember most is the grotto, because we were one-on-one, so we had a lot of time to talk during those times.
And we have Father Larry on today to talk about his responsibilities at Siena and what he means to the Siena community, and what Peyton also means to the Siena community. And I want to give a brief glimpse into what we're going to get into in the second segment today, and that is Peyton's path, which is a campus beautification project and a spiritual space on campus that was completed in the fall of 2022. And follow just a brief glimpse in the next minute or two of how this began, this campus beautification project with Peyton's family, and kind of what it means to the Siena community.
Okay, so the story with Peyton. Unfortunately, Peyton. Well, he joined the fire department. He was in training. This was the second part of his senior year, and there was an accident, and Peyton passed away. And it was of course, it was a huge funeral up in where he's from, up in Clayton. All kinds of firefighters, police department. There were quite a few people from Siena that were there to honor his life. Probably maybe a couple months afterwards, I got a phone call from Peyton's dad, David, and he mentioned that the parish was closing. It's the next town over, Lafargeville, St. John the Evangelist, and he wanted to know if we could use their Stations of the Cross because they didn't want to just put them in storage. And I said, sure. The Stations of the Cross are a Franciscan tradition. I had no idea what we were going to do with them. I didn't know where we would put. I was kind of thinking we could use them in the chapel, in our campus chapel. We have stations, but I thought we could have used something different. So I thought, sure, with at the time having no idea how we were going to do this, but what we were going to do with them anyway. So maybe a couple months after that, they came down to Peyton's parents with the stations, and we stored them up in the attic for a little bit. I love to walk around campus, so one morning I was walking behind the gym, and I looked over, and I saw there's a trail back there. It's the ropes course in the woods there between the golf course and the gym, and it just came to me that would be a perfect place to have an outdoor Stations of the Cross. And the name Peyton's Path came to me just like that. I thought that would be a great way to honor Peyton. So I started talking with different people on campus. I started talking with people in facilities. I started talking with people in development. I started, just to see what are the possibilities. How can this happen? And then the ball just began to roll.
And it's a really great story that we have. And Fowler is going to talk a little bit about the project being completed. Just a few weeks ago, we did have a ceremony to dedicate Peyton's Path, go through a little bit of the meaning behind the Stations of the Cross to the Catholic faith and what it's going to mean to the Siena community. So stay with us. We'll be right back here on WVCR 88.3 The Saint. Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show right here on WVCR 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host this week, Brandon Murphy, class of 2017, and Associate Director of Alumni Engagement. And I'm sitting down here with Father Larry, a dear friend of mine and to the Siena community and the college chaplain here at Siena. We ended last segment by starting the story of Peyton's Path and how that is continuing the story of Peyton here at Siena and a campus beautification project. And there's been other campus beautification projects on campus over the last 10, 15 years or so that also give a spiritual presence on campus. And for those that are listening and maybe didn't know what the grotto was when Father Larry brought it up in the last segment, I want to begin with the grotto and what that space is to the Siena community and kind of how that came about, Father Larry.
Mm-hmm. Actually, we came together. I came in the summer of 2014, and I believe they began building that in May of 2014. So it was dedicated. It only took 5-6 months to build. It's an impressive structure. So we had the bishop came, and it was dedicated in October of 2014. What the grotto is, it's based, of course, on the grotto in Lourdes, France, where in the 19th century, Bernadette was going out to get some wood for a fire so her family could cook dinner, and she saw Mary. And for 18 straight days, Mary appeared to Bernadette. And it's become a place of healing. People will go to Lourdes, France, to experience the healing. And it's a place of healing here. It's amazing in the 9 years since the grotto's been here how popular it is with our students of any faith. Whenever I was just walking by there on my walk this morning, and there were people there at the grotto. It's just a place where people have come together to pray. Sometimes people come individually. Some people come as a group. We do communal things there. The blessing of the hockey team will be at the grotto. I've had weddings at the grotto, baptisms at the grotto. When something very difficult happens on campus or something, there's a loss of life, we come and gather and we'll have a prayer service at the grotto. And it's also a place for celebration as well. The Transitus, you mentioned the Transitus in the first segment, when we celebrate Francis's transitioning from this world to the next, we'll process to the grotto from the chapel, all the people attending, and we'll have our final prayer there at the grotto. And then just recently, within the last year, we call it the Bells of Remembrance, which was a gift from Holy Name Province, the province that I belong to. And these bells remember the people of 9/11 who lost their lives in that horrible day. And so there's 3 bells currently in that area, and there will be a statue of St. Clair just outside of the area of the grotto. And those bells ring on the hour. So the people in Hennepin get to hear bells on the weekends. I don't think it starts till 9 a.m., but they're still in bed until noon anyway. But no, it's a beautiful spot, that whole area now.
I remember living in Placerman my sophomore year of college, and they were constructing the grotto, as you said. And from 2013 until now, just to see that space continue to grow and the different ways that the college can utilize it. Now with Joya Hall as well, that expanded from McGuire, which is the new Welcome Center on campus. And we just welcomed one of the largest classes, again, in Siena history, around 900 incoming freshmen again.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Bells of Remembrance, we had a new ceremony and a new tradition welcoming the incoming class to the Siena community. Yep. Can you talk a little bit about what that was with the Bells and with the grotto?
Yeah, so what we did is we met in Nigro Plaza. This is the first day the freshmen arrived. They met their saints, and then the saints brought them to Nigro Plaza. We had some speeches, some music, and then there was a procession to the grotto led by the friars. The friars led it, and then everybody followed. And it was just a kind of a welcome to Siena, welcome to this sacred space. They walked through by the bells, walked to the grotto, and on to the UHY Center. So it's one of those things that we want to create, a kind of initiate, welcome, and then when they become seniors, there will be a ceremony at the grotto as well, celebrating their 4 years.
And before we get to the most recent campus beautification project of Peyton's Path, we also were fortunate enough to be able to live stream masses in the chapel. Mm-hmm. What has that meant to the Siena community, and to have that offered on Sundays? And do students do the live streaming? Is it for hours? What is the hands-on experience that we give the students?
Yeah, I mean, that all started with COVID when we had no one was allowed on campus, and all churches were trying to figure out how they could get the word out. So we decided to see if we could get a live stream, and within 24 hours, we got the money. Very generous, the rugby team in their name. So we got the money that was needed, and we've been live streaming masses, and it's been helpful, like for weddings, baptisms. If somebody's traveling from a distance, they can't get to our chapel, they can watch it. So we have a student worker who does that. We have the 11 a.m. Mass is live streamed every Sunday. So it's been a great addition.
And a reminder to everybody, you're listening to the Saints and Alumni Show here on WVCR 88.3 The Saint, and you can subscribe anywhere that you get your podcasts, and to the Siena Alumni YouTube channel to check out the complete collection. And as we mentioned, it's fall on campus. It's a beautiful time to be walking outside, and it was perfect timing in a way that Peyton's Path was dedicated in the fall of 2022 to go back behind ROTC, to walk that path and to have that atmosphere and that space on campus. Peyton's Path was, as I said, a campus beautification project that was 100% completely funded through the generous donations made from the members of the Siena community. Friends of the college, alumni of the college, Peyton's family, all contributed to this project to have at Siena. John Leonard was a class of 1964, and he was the lead donor of the project, and we thank him along with the 13 other donors of the project to bring this vision to the campus and for the space to be available to anybody in the Siena community. And you briefly talked about some of the visuals of that, where it's located behind campus and the Stations of the Cross. Can you just walk us through that path and what people will see when they're on that journey?
Yes. So, just a great shout out, of course, to the donors. Thank you very much for allowing this, making this happen. For the people up at St. John's in Lafargeville for donating them. But for facilities here on campus who built the structure that has the stations in them. So what you'll see is a post about 6 feet, and then the station is within a glass case. And across from each station is a bench that you can sit at and pray each station. There's 14 stations. And what it is there's a trail that I would say the stations are probably about 20 feet apart from each other. So there's a little bit of a walk as you're walking across a loop through the woods. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. And it's a peaceful, prayerful experience. What we're working on with right now is with IT is that somebody could use their phone, get the QR code, and then they could have the stations, the meditation on their phone, and they can pray that station on their own. What we did is on the Feast of the Holy Cross on September 14th, we had a dedication. So we invited Peyton's family. We invited the bishop from Ogdensburg, where the diocese up there, and friends of Peyton, along with donors, along with the Siena Community Facilities, and they all came. And then we had a blessing at the beginning. There's a little plaque honoring Peyton with his picture on it, and then we prayed the stations. So it was a beautiful day, a beautiful afternoon, and the stations, as I mentioned earlier, are a very Franciscan tradition. St. Francis was really the first one to really want to stress the importance of Jesus's last day in a prayer, praying the Stations of the Cross. So I was told that, I didn't know this, but it was if a church got the stations in the church, you had to have a Franciscan come and bless them, even if it was a diocesan church, because it was seen as a Franciscan prayer. So obviously, it's a prayer of the church, and we remember Jesus's his passion. But it's a beautiful addition to our campus.
And it really, to me, it's so amazing to see what these spaces mean to students. You can go to the grotto and there's benches at the grotto as well, and you can just sit down and be in your own headspace and in your own thoughts and kind of get a break from that college life. At the grotto, there is the water fountain to the left of the grotto, and that is so peaceful. So I can just imagine now with the benches in Peyton's path, in the fall with the leaves, with the wind, with the birds, how peaceful that's going to be for the students as well. So for those benches, as I mentioned, they are in loving memory of members of the Siena community, just like at the grotto. And a special thank you to our donors who helped this come to fruition. We had David Stacy and Parker Murris, family of Peyton, Nancy Clark and Christopher Clark, 1962, Beth, class of 16, and John Hazelton and family, Christopher and Barbara Peyton, family of Peyton as well, Marie Fox, class of 1978, Sean, class of 1984, and Michelle Doolin, the Goyette family, Howard Foote, class of 1974, and Jenna Foote, 2013, and just graduated in grad school in 2022. John and Mary Ryan Held, class of 83. Our lead donor, John Leonard, class of 64. John 03 and Katie Draycott Carter. Douglas, 1984, and Cynthia 84 Surgis, and Christopher and 1977, and Carlene Maddern. All of those people help contribute to the 13 stations on the cross of Peyton's path. And I just want to conclude today's show by giving just some final thoughts to Father Larry about the Franciscan mission here at Siena, the Feast of St. Francis that's coming up in the fall, and what that is going to contribute with the Siena community.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of was just thinking about it when you were talking about it. It's so nice to have so many outdoor spaces because we have a beautiful campus to begin with, and just to be able to, I mean, with Franciscans, there's something, Francis saw the beauty of creation. You could see the beauty of creation, and it was a gift of God. And, that Siena has been gifted by so many generous donors, by the beauty of this campus that it's given students all kinds of opportunities. So, for Francis Week, we got the great tradition of what we call the Transitus and the feast day celebration, of course. So the Transitus is a great celebration. It starts out in the chapel, prayer service, different readings, music. We have a very talented music ministry here. And then we all process with candles to the grotto. And, of course, being Franciscans, you have to have food. So afterwards, we have a light reception afterwards. And with Francis's favorite cookies, he had almond cookies. So, and then the feast day, we celebrate Francis on October 4th. We'll have a midday mass. And then, again, we'll be giving away different things. Food's always good to give away. So we'll give that away during the feast day. And then the friars get together, and we have a big celebration as well.
I'm very excited for the upcoming Feast of St. Francis. Last year, it rained, so I was in the chapel.
Yep.
So this year, I'm looking forward to being part of that procession outside down to the grotto with the Siena community. And to the Siena community listening today, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Father Larry for taking the time to speak with the Siena community, sharing the story of Peyton, and we hope everyone can come back to campus and experience this space that means so much to the family and to the Siena community. We'll see you next time right here on WVCR 88.3 The Saint. Have a great weekend.